my friends, glad to see you made it, for we have gathered here today in the name of Jesus Christ. Glory be to God, He's alive. My friends, today I want to tell you a couple little stories, just things to be aware of here in this day and age. We always like to hear a story, and this is a great story you can tell your children while you're sitting around the campfire there out on your weekend fishing trip this summer, if you so choose. Anyway, let's ask God and invite Jesus Christ into this story and allow Him to guide us through whatever it is He wishes to unveil to us today. Heavenly Father, our Father who lives in heaven, hallowed be Thy name. How wonderful are You, God, who saves men from the troubles of despair, heartbreak, and hopelessness. Give us hope today. Give us wisdom and understanding of that wisdom. Lead us and guide us, Father, not down paths to temptation, but deliver us from the hand of the evil one. And forgive us. Forgive us for our wrongdoings. Increase our faith. Increase our faith. Increase our love. Love us, Father, and teach us how to love and be merciful as You are merciful. In the holy name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen. So I want to tell you guys a little story about this man who lived in this town. He's an orphan, and he had an aunt and an uncle, and he lived with his aunt and his uncle for a while, and they began to prosper. After time went on, these two men, they put their minds together and began to work with one another, and they began to prosper. They were herdsmen, and so they had a lot of sheep and goats, and all of a sudden all the sheep and goats began to mingle with one another. And this, there was in a time when they didn't have branding, or they weren't able to mark the ears, and be able to distinguish one sheep from another, because you see a herd of sheep and they all look the same, and well, there's a couple black ones out there, but even the black ones all look the same. And well, anyway, so they came up with the idea, and the nephew says, I'm gonna make it easy. I'm gonna take my herds and my stuff, and I'm gonna go over here and live my life and thank aunt and uncle for everything you have done for me, and it's time to move on. And so he finds his way into this kingdom and this place and this town, and lo and behold, they have all these strange rules in this place. Some of their rules were that they had 4 judges surrounding the kingdom, and they would be around each of the 4 major cities that they had, or whatever you want to, however you'd like to see it. And they had the 4 judges of those cities. And they had the strangest, weirdest rules. If a stranger were to come into their town, that they would rob that stranger. All the men and women and old women, all the way to their children, would come and steal everything that stranger had, to take everything they had. And if that stranger cried out in complaint, each one of those people would come right to that stranger and be like, hey, look, I only took this from you. Why are you so angry when this is the payment I received from you? Because they said, I took this from you, and this is the payment you give me because I sparing your life. I could kill you. We could all kill you, but instead of killing you, we took everything you had, and we spared your life. You should be happy. This is all I took was this little piece. And then that person, could you imagine that today? If somebody came and just took everything you had, and you had absolutely no control over it. I mean, you're one man against an entire city. And I can relate, because I remember when I was a little boy, I was like 9 years old, back in elementary school, playing on the playground. We were playing football, and as children in America, we all love football, American football, and we were playing football, and all of a sudden this kid, stole our football, and he wouldn't give that football back. And I was a little kid, and I didn't know any different, but wanting that hey man, you came and you disturbed our game. We were all having fun, and this kid just comes out of nowhere, grabs the ball, and lo and behold, this kid must have been the fastest kid in the entire school, because if I had got my hands around his neck, I'd have killed him, man, to get my football back, and so we could all be enjoying this game, man. And I mean, the rage, and screaming mad and upset, and there's nothing I could do. My little feet could never run any faster than they were going. And I couldn't get no angrier or upset than I was. No control. And what do? Somebody comes, takes all your stuff. And, a stranger, and these were, strangers to their rules and their things. This is how we find out the rules, as we, come and they say you broke the rules. One man, they grab and they rob the man, take him all his clothes and everything, and leave the man naked. And take everything he got, and he begins to become so upset, he leaves. And finds this other man, this nice man, a friend of the nephew, who's living in that town. Going to go and check on his nephew or his friend, his buddy's nephew's friend. It's his friend. Go check on him, see how he's doing. And on his way there, he finds this man who's there in the middle of the road, and sees that the robber, this man from the kingdom, is about to taking all his stuff, and they're in a great argument. And the guy is like, hey, stop that. Don't do that. You can't take that man's stuff. This is not right. And the man who stole all his stuff, he grabs a rock and he throws it, and he hits the guy in the head, the rock, and he begins to bleed, and blood begins to run all over on his head and comes down. And man, what are you doing? You're stealing this guy's stuff. Just do what is right. And he says, I have done what is right here in our town, and under our rules. I can pick a rock up when you make me upset. Who do you think you are to come into our town? Who made you judge over us? These are our rules, and because I hit you in the head of the rock, that means you upset me. And now you owe me. And the blood on your head proves that you have bad blood in your body. And thank me for hitting you and releasing that bad blood from you. Right? Guy's like, man, this is crazy. This is crazy. You owe me. You want to stand up for that man, and then you owe me what that man has given me, plus you owe me for releasing you from the bad blood. And so the man begins to get upset, and they go before the judge of their town. And the stranger begins to explain, how the man was robbing him, this other poor man, of his stuff. And he was just standing up for that man because it was rightly his stuff. And the other man says, yes, but according to our rules, this man stepped in a place he didn't belong, and he upset me. So I hit him in the head with a rock and spilled out his bad blood. You know, he upset me. And the judge says to him, well, that's our custom. And I see you got a knot on your head, you're bleeding, and so then you upset that man. So you owe him. You owe him. Pay him what you owe him. I mean, thank God he hit you in the head with the rock. Coming in and stepping in and trying to be an arbitrator or judge in our land when you don't even know our rules. So the old man, the stranger picks up a rock. Well, if these are your rules, and he throws the rock and he smacks the judge in the head. And by your own word, by your own confession, these are your rules. Now I've hit you on the head with the rock, and you take up my problem with that man. And he just walks right out of town. Another example of the way this kingdom was being ruled and ran. You know, can't you see already? Oh boy, this sounds like it's very unjust. Well, why would we think that would be unjust or immoral? Not right or wrong, or what's wrong with that picture? And everybody saw this as being right. These same people who saw that treatment of strangers being right, to hurt them, to rob them, to leave them for dead. You know, 4 times a year, every year, 4 times a year, that they would all get together and they would trade husbands and wives, and they would sleep with one another from morning all the way till night. And nobody said nothing. Even though they saw their husband and their wives with their neighbors, they said nothing. And they did this all the way down to their very children. To their children. So their very children, this is what they know. It's all they know. It's what their parents taught them. All the women and the old women and the men and the children would go and take everything a stranger had, all their stuff. Stranger, you know, these people, they were just passing by. Back in this day, in this time and an age, it was safety in numbers. So if you were out traveling out in the country, you would see like a little town or a city, and you'd be like, oh man, I bet I could find safety in that town or city. I don't want to sleep out here in the darkness or out in the wilderness where there's no safety. So people naturally gravitate towards towns. So one man comes in, and he's a stranger, and he's got his donkey, and he's got all his stuff packed on his donkey, and then he's got this mantle of many colors. It's like a covering that goes over the stuff, and it has this great long cord that goes around, and he wrapped that around his donkey, and it would hold all his stuff on the donkey's back, and they would walk along. And so, but it was one of many colors. It had a long cord. He comes into town, and he couldn't find nowhere to rest. And all of a sudden, one man who was a little more tricky than all the rest, and he was well known in that town, and he sees the guy. Another stranger passing through town. So he tells the man, come and rest here at our place. And he says to the man, well, I only need to stay here tonight, and I have food for my donkey, and you know, and if you let me stay, I'll pay you for letting me stay, but I just need the one night, you know. And the man says, fine, come and stay here. And not only stay here, I'm going to feed you, and you don't have to worry about nothing. I'll feed you, and I'll even feed your donkey and take care of you. Just come on in. And the man just right away takes off the covering from the donkey of this little mantle or covering of many colors with the long cord. And he takes that and puts it away. And he takes all the stuff off the donkey and puts that and then gives the donkey some food. And all that while he's doing that for the man's donkey, the man's at the house eating dinner as the man's wife is feeding him. Right? Next morning comes. Okay, man, I'm on my way. And the guy says, no, don't leave. Stay here with us. Don't leave us. You can stay one more day. At least have breakfast with us. Okay, so they begin to eat breakfast. And then while they're eating breakfast, in their day, that wine was the thing. And so they began to drink wine, and he has strong wine, and the man gets drunk. And, you can't be going off in this condition, nobody can drive their donkey drunk, you got to stay another day. Please stay another night. And, all right, Okay, and so he stays, and in the morning, on the second morning, he wakes up, and again, the man's like, stay and have breakfast, have a meal with us. And again, he eats the meal, and again, they hang out talking as though they were great friends, and the day begins to pass, and night begins to come. You can see that, there's only a few hours left, and the man says, well, I really got to go. And so he begins to pack up his donkey, and the man's begging him, no, stay. And no, I got to go. It's time to go. And he loads his donkey up, and he's got everything loaded. Hey, man, can I just get my covering of many colors with the long cord? And I'll wrap my donkey, and I'm on my way, heading out. I just wanted to really stay the night. Matt's wife begins to get all upset. Man, you're going to let that man stay here for 2 days and not pay us anything? I fed that man 4 meals. You just going to let him leave? Man's like, shut up, woman. I got this under control. And he's like, relax. Tells the man, well, this is the interpretation of your dream. That mantle, that the covering of many colors means that you're going to plant fruit trees. And you're going to have your own vineyard. And you're going to be able to eat from those fruit trees. And the long cord means that you're going to live for many, many days. Long life. It's good for you. Guy's like, I didn't have no dream. I came in here and I had my covering of many colors with the long cord on it, and it was on my donkey. You clearly know that we're not talking about a dream. If you just give me the mantle back, I'll be on my way. If you're upset about the food and my time staying here, I got plenty of money to pay you for your food and the time that I stayed here. I'll even pay you for the hay you gave to my donkey. Just please give me that mantle back. Give me that covering back made of many colors so I can go. The man says, well, here's the thing. Here in our kingdom, in our town, I'm the man who deciphers dreams and visions. And I charge 4 pieces of silver for my interpretations. And I'm telling you, my interpretation is good. And because I like you, I'm only going to charge you 3 pieces of silver. That's it. I'm telling you, my interpretation of your dream is good. It's good. The long cord means you're going to have long life. And the covering of many colors. It means you're going to be fruitful. You're going to be able to eat from your fruit, and you're going to be able to plant your own fruit trees. You'll have your own vineyard. This is trustworthy and true, I'm telling you. And the man just begins getting so upset. And man, you know that I came here with that thing. What are you talking about? Have you gone mad? I didn't come here about no dream. I just want my thing and I want to go. And he gets so upset, he drags the man and they go off to the judge. And the judge listens to their story and they're back and forth. And the judge says, well, this is what I know. this man, of all our town, he's the man who interprets dreams and visions, and he charges 4 pieces of silver to all of the people who he deciphers that dream to, and pay him what you owe him, so that we can move on. The guy is so upset, and they begin so angry, and the judge just kicks them both right out. Get out of here. And they go off angry and mad. The guy just says, screw it. And he leaves his covering of many colors with the long cord, and grieved. He's grieved to his soul. So upset. You know. And everybody in the whole town, you know, began to mock that man who had the donkey as he was leaving. Because they all agreed on what they knew. They all thought what they knew was good. And because it was good for them, then it was good. They didn't care about if it was good for the strangers or their neighbors or anybody else. They just, as long as it was good for us. You know? Another man, that nephew, all the while, that poor nephew was there in that town. A good man. Having to live under those conditions. Began to hurt his soul. He had 3 daughters and a wife. One of his daughters marries one of the men of the kingdom. Another man, stranger, comes. One of their customs was to, after they had ripped all their clothes off and took all their stuff, was if the stranger began to complain too much, that then they would trap that stranger there in the town and starve them to death, give them no food, nothing to eat. Once the man had died, they just grabbed the man's body and throw it out in the bushes, out in the wilderness, like there's nothing. Human life had no value. The only value they could see was their own value. Period. Pure 100% selfishness, without recognizing anything but themselves. One of these men fell to the robbers of the town, and there he is, left naked to die. The nephew's daughter finds compassion in her soul for this man. She goes every day to the watering hole, and she takes this pitcher of water and grabs some water out of the well and puts a loaf of bread, sneaks a loaf of bread, some bread in that water. And then she takes that pitcher of water as she's passing by and gives that bread and water to the man. A loaf of bread soaked in water. And all the people of the town began to wonder, how does this man sit here and not die? He is not being consumed. He doesn't even look like he's getting skinny. In fact, I think he's getting fatter. How is this? Somebody's feeding him. That's what it is. Some of the men of the town began to go, and they sat back and they watched this guy for hours. And here they see this woman come with a jar of water, with a loaf of bread inside the jar of water, and she gives it to the man. And they jump out of the bushes and, you're the one who's been feeding this guy. No wonder why he hasn't been died or been consumed yet. He's all healthy. You're giving him bread and water. Took the woman, and it was so compassion to show to another person. No, we don't show any compassion. It's so foreign. You're a foreigner. Anything in compassion or love comes from a foreigner, a stranger. They judged the woman. All the people of the town made this giant fire. Then they burned the woman to ashes. That was the judgment for her. Showing compassion to a stranger. Another woman. Same. In another town. Showing compassion to a stranger. Stranger was coming through town and she knew the way the town would be. Hey man, come and rest in my house. So that nobody will hurt you. Certainly you shouldn't stay outside. And the people heard about this. Grabbed that woman. Brought her right to the middle of town. Covered that woman from head all the way to toe in honey. And then took 4 swarms of bees, honeycombs, bees, and let those out on that woman. That woman cried out so loud that God in heaven heard her. It's the thing. This is the story of Lot in his life in Sodom. In the book of Revelation, it speaks of Sodom and Egypt. Jesus Christ hadn't come. We would all have been like Sodom. But yet here we are in the end, and Jesus says in the end, Sodom will rise up to condemn you. Because God destroyed them in fire and brimstone here on earth to teach you a lesson. So you didn't have to go through what they went through. What if we, like Jesus Christ, and the man came to steal our coat of many colors, and we gave it away. Jesus says that if I had been there in Sodom and performed the miracles I performed for you, they would have repented to this day. But God wiped them off the earth, their seed, their animals, their plants, everything, in a ball of fire to express to you. When human beings are grieved to their soul, so is God. And Jesus says this is how you're going to overcome it. Sodom and Egypt. Give that man the coat. See, Jesus Christ in the book of Revelations gives each and every one of us a coat of many colors, just like Joseph, my favorite sons, daughters. And then he says, this is what I want you to do is, when they come, and Jesus says, surely they're going to come. Who? Those who hate you. And this is what they're going to come. They're going to come to take your coat. And I want you to give it to them. What if in that day in Sodom that they had seen a miracle? Impossible. Everybody had to see justice be done. And it had to be done for them. Right? Jesus says if they smack you on the cheek, they hit you in the head with a rock, turn the other cheek. Right? How do we combat this world today? and to be the opposite of what is seen as normal. I mean, think about it. Who in this world, in this day and age, are willing to seriously give to the thief his coat? Give to the enemy his prayer, his love. You know, Jesus says it's what you do and how you sit and how you act with the stranger, the poor man, the neighbor. How do we act with those people? How do we live with those people? It determines how we're going to set with God and royalty, far greater than how it is in this day and age when we set with people whom we decide are a higher standard. You know, it's amazing that the story of Lot and there's in Sodom's day and Adam and Abraham, Sarah's day. It's no different than ours today. You know, I see there in America, and I'm eyewitness to, hey, everything that was going on in Sodom is going on here in the United States. Everything. Not everybody's partaking in it. Not everybody's part of it. But with everything that is happening. See in the city of Denver, go and round up people's stuff. Just that same way. You're no different. You know, you're not like us. You're a stranger. You're homeless. There's something wrong with you. You're not like the rest of us. Stranger. Look. We look at this. We only took trash. I mean, come on. You're homeless. What do you got? The stuff you have is look. It's worthless. Come on. We're just gonna take and throw this in the trash. And all the people, the neighbors and the mothers and the fathers and the grandparents, they all said nothing. Didn't do anything. Divorce. We married like we change wives like we change rubbers. I mean, be honest. And then with the sexual immorality, and where's the problems and all the heartache? Because without love, without forgiveness, leaves you in a place of chaos. And we see it. We see it here today in our world. And it's such a reality. And it's like, what do we do, man? What do we do? And just like Jesus says, this is how we're going to overcome it. It's by our love. See, this is how Sodom are going to know who you are. By the way you love them. See, nobody loved them. Demanded justice for myself. This man stole my coat of many colors, and I need justice. I need my coat back. And Jesus says, give it away. You know, those who ask to borrow, give it to them. Never stop a borrow. Be different than them. Be the stranger. Be the foreigner. Be the alien. See, that's what sets us apart. That's what makes us different than the rest. If we weren't set apart, if we weren't different, if we didn't have the knowledge to know the difference between right and wrong, we'd be no different than Sodom or Gomorrah. And our fate would be the same as well. You know, that's the thing. They never saw compassion or love. It was so strange to them. Jesus says, hey, take great joy when the world hates you because of what you've become. Right? Just like there in Sodom and Gomorrah. And they come to take everything you've got. Give it to them. Right? That's the thing. When God is with you, who can be against you? You know, it was Lot's daughter that was burned in the fire. God sent 2 angels. 2 witnesses. You see there in the book of Revelation, 2 witnesses. Go check it out. Heard a great cry. Jesus says in the end, the whole world's going to cry out, and God's going to come and check it out. Because that's what God does. So when His children cry out, He answers their cry. He answers. And that's the thing with us in our walk with Jesus. Is Jesus Christ will not be mocked. Sure, we can laugh and think it's a joke and not take this stuff serious, but in the end, it is Jesus Christ who stands at the gates of heaven laughing and mocking the devil in his works. And that's the thing. The devil and his seed, right? And so then here we are, thousands of years later, the seed. And those who live under the seed of Jesus Christ, the promise of Abraham, that they live as though they were children of Abraham. Now, how is Abraham to ask God for mercy for Lot, his family? God showed them mercy. Take them out of there. Right? Lot's wife looks back because she has family back there. You know? She grew up there. She was grieved in her heart because of all the destruction. And everybody was being destroyed as the angels told them, leave and don't look back. She turned around and becomes a pillar of salt. Dies on the spot. Somewhere in the Bible, pillar of salt can be also interpreted as great deep bitterness. So much deep bitterness and hate and anger just consumed her on the spot. The daughters and Lot, they thought that the whole world had been destroyed. And they were the last 3 people on earth. Daughters got their dad drunk, and then they had children. And one of the daughters, the eldest daughter, has a son, and he's king of the Moabites, who was grandmother to the David, king of the Israelites. God's grace and mercy. Right? There's nobody crying out or praying for those in Sodom for grace and mercy because they never knew anything about grace and mercy, so they never showed grace or mercy to anybody. You know, all that while, Lot had left Abraham. He was also was out there unprotected from the Spirit of God, in a way. Yet in a way he was protected, because God delivered him out of there. Right? That's the thing in our lives. If sin somewhere has got to make us sick, and the facts of it, and what people are doing, and I'm not saying going out and protest and all kinds of weird rioting type stuff, I'm saying become a better person. I'm saying become like Jesus Christ. And we can overcome it with our love. And care for one another. You know, that's the thing. In the same way, here in our world, there in Sodom, you know, if you weren't for them, if you weren't a part of them, you were destroyed. Same there in the Islamic and Muslim religion, as their goal is to destroy everybody that doesn't agree with them. Jesus says, you know, if they don't agree with you, love them anyway. You know, he asks us to be friends to the friendless. And I look into the world today, and it's hard. It's hard to believe in the unseen God who is in complete control of everything while all this stuff is going on in our world. Right? Faith. And that's the thing we got to remember. You know? It's kind of weird. Jesus Christ, he could heal people. And he could heal anybody. But he couldn't heal himself. Only God could heal him. Same for us today. We're all destined to die. We're all destined to the same place. The grave. and if we have compassion in our heart, we're also destined to another place. That fire. Did you know God is an all-consuming fire of love? I wonder if they thought and believed that guy. Jesus says the same thing to us as the guy there in Sodom. Here, I made this coat of many colors with this great long cord. Remember there, you go there in the book of Numbers, and you know, they talk about that cord. God says, here, make for yourself a tassel with a blue cord on it. And then Jesus, you know, attaches that tassel to God's coat of many colors. And this interpretation is good, right? Jesus promises two things, right? Says to us for like there in Moses' day, right? Go and scope out the land. What do you see? And is it safe? Is it good? Can we take over that land? Is it really a land of milk and honey? Right? We see in the book of Revelations, and we get a little sneak peek, and we can look into this land, this place of eternal love and mercy, of no death, with Jesus Christ, and we can get a little sneak peek in there, and what do we see? You know, oh, there's giants, and devils and demons, and oh my. But off in that distance, off there, and you know, like those last few chapters, that last 2 chapters, you know, where there's a new world and there's a new kingdom, and you know, and just like there in Moses, you know, everybody who's seen, you know, the 7 plagues and the Antichrist and all the death and the murder and the destruction and fire and all this stuff, and they looked at it and like Caleb, Joshua. Yeah, we got it. We can get it. It is a land flowing with milk and honey, full of fruit trees and vineyards, and every 12 months, right? A new fruit is produced. Oh, it's a land of milk and honey. Caleb and Joshua, they didn't even see the giants and the sons of Anakim, you know. And here we got the sons of Satan and all that. And am I God who delivered those out of darkness, out of Egypt, out of Sodom? And am I, Jesus Christ, say to you, too weak to put you in that place of milk and honey? Isn't it Jesus Christ who come to promise you that all these things will come to you? Both the plagues, you'll see it all. The wars. But can't I, Jesus Christ, don't I have the power to put you into that land of milk and honey? God says, take courage. Do not fear. Do not fear. See, when we look at the book of Revelation and we see all that disaster and all the plagues and Satan and that, oh my God, I'm afraid. Here comes the end of the world. Oh, I see it. It's there. I see the end of the world. We are in our last days. And oh, you're not saved. And oh, I gotta help. And oh, ooh. Right? Surely, our children are going to be devoured. Oh, future. The future is so grim. My children are going to be devoured. God says, it is those children whom you claim are going to be devoured, are going to be those who have this place. Because is it too small of a thing for God who breathes stars to put you there? God says, I called you out of darkness. I delivered you. I promised you these things. God says, I opened the ocean to deliver his people, the people he chose to deliver. Is it too small a thing for God? Right? Jesus says that there's the trumpet blast, the words that will cross the entire earth, the universe, and creation. This will sing out. This will sing out. Every ear on earth will hear these words. It's finished. That's what Jesus said. It's finished. Do you believe that? Because if you love Jesus Christ with all your heart, might, and soul, and you can look out into the world and see something's wrong in the world today, ask yourself, how can I overcome it? Peter says, how are you going to escape this wicked generation of people? Right? Become like Jesus. Become like Jesus. Okay, you want to know how you escape this wicked world? Be the woman who puts the bread in the water and feeds the man who the world has written off for dead. And when they throw you in the fire, thank God in heaven, you will instantly be with Jesus Christ. You want to know how you be with Jesus Christ? Be like him and go and feed and take care of the man who has been robbed, left for dead, been stripped naked. Go and heal him with your own oil, your own money, your own resources. And when this crazy world takes notice of what you're doing and comes to hurt you and reject you and beat you down and violate you, you say, thank God in heaven Jesus Christ is alive today. Because he lives in me. He lives in us. So I just wanted to tell you that little story. Also wanted to remind you guys, go back and read 2 Kings chapter 4 and start there at verse 8 and read down. And that's Elijah's story with the Shunammite woman. Right? Let's look at a direct contrast, opposite. The Shunammite woman sees it and notices Elijah is a holy man, a man of God, a man of love, and he's there in Shunem and in their town, and she notices every time he passes by, hey, let's be nice to that guy. So she goes out and tells the man, Elijah, hey, come and hang out with us, and I'll feed you. I'll give you dinner. Just be our friend. Right? Elijah goes right in, sure. I'll hang out, be your friend. Right? She tells her husband, hey, let's build a room there in the roof of our house, in the top of our house, because every time Elijah comes into town, we'll have a place there and we'll keep the light on. So just in case Elijah passes by, he'll know that we're up and he could come. And sure enough, sometime later Elijah comes and shows up and there and takes residence in the house and all that, and the lady just is lavishing him with food and drink in the house and everything, and so he tells his buddy Gazi, and Gazi, and that word in Hebrew means valley of visions. Kind of weird. And so he tells his buddy, the valley of visions, to go down and ask the woman, the Shunammite woman, how can we reward you, man? You have been so nice to us, taking care of us, giving us food, lavishing us with all this care. What can we do for you? Can I go to the king and just tell him about you? How about the commander of the army? I'll let everybody in Israel know about your kindness. What can I do for you? What do you want? Gazi, the guy goes down, talks to her, and the woman's like, I'm just a woman of my own people. This is what we do. I don't need a reward or nothing. This is our lifestyle. This is how we live. I don't need nothing. I enjoy your company. Oh, and Gazi sees the woman ain't got no children. Goes back, takes it upon himself, and tells Elijah, she don't have no child, man. Give her a son. Okay, sure enough. Come this time next year, you're going to have a little child. The woman goes back and, what? Have a child? I never asked for no kid. I didn't ask for nothing. I did all this out of the goodness of my heart. And there you're going to go giving me a kid? I don't even want a kid. You better not be lying to me. If you say I'm going to have a kid, then all right. Well, sometime later it passes by and her son gets sick. Right? No good deed goes unpunished. Does a good deed for her, and son gets sick and runs off, goes to Elijah, and man, you old fart, I told you, don't get me pregnant, don't you be giving me no blessings of a child, and then come and steal him away, steal my heart and break my soul down, and how dare you lied to me. Elijah's like, whoa, I didn't lie. Let's go, Gazi, take my staff, run down and go and place it on that boy, and the woman's like, I ain't leaving your side. We're going together. I'm holding you to your word. You promised. You said you're a man of God. Now, come on. Let's go fix my kid. And they get there, and sure enough, the son's dead. Elijah walks around the room, makes a few prayers, lays on the boy, puts his eyes on right over his face, his eyes to his eyes, his nose to his nose. It's just like his body completely over his body, Like his flesh became his flesh. And the boy's flesh began to get warm. And he sneezed 7 times. And got up. Just fine. You know, and that's the thing with Jesus, you know, is he is the bread of life. Right? He's through his wine, through his blood. Many are saved. Same for us. You know? Same for us. Kindness, compassion for other human beings. That's right there. You see Jesus Christ. See, he's the bread of life. The light of all men. So right there's where you see him. And compassion, right? He says, I'm the bread and the wine, the blood. If you eat my bread, your flesh will become my flesh. And if you drink my wine, your blood will become my blood. One flesh, one blood. Flesh of my flesh and bone of my bone. Surely, surely, this is my son, says the Lord our God. Right? Same for us today. That's the thing. Remember, he chose you. And you say, what did he choose me for? To forgive them. Right? See, Jesus says in the book of Revelations, I know, guys, right? Isn't it cool? You noticed all the apostasy teachings. You found all the false prophets. And wow, isn't that cool? You found all the liars out there. But the only way to get to heaven is by following my rules. Okay? Even though you know who they are, you know where the weeds are. Jesus says, do you pull the weeds? No. Why? Because you might hurt them. See, Jesus says, I will gather them. And if I could gather them, whatever you forgive on earth, whatever sins, it'll be loosened in heaven. Whatever you can loosen will be loosened in heaven. Because it is God's desire, God's will, that all men come to him to be healed. To be healed. To find that compassion. So where will we find Jesus? In the midst of compassion. Right? See you next time.